Good evening, everyone. This is Nitya Ramachandra from the NR Hour NR Media Sports Show. Happy Saturday night. I hope everyone is having a great Thanksgiving weekend, and we're coming to this to next week already. So this break is going quick, but we are back with another special episode. So Giant fans and fans, please tune in. We have a special guest on the show, but before I introduce him, everybody knows about the Speaker app on my phone, where fans can ask questions on that app. And we are live on iHeartRadio, Spotify right now. So please listen on there too and subscribe to those. Like I said, fans, please tune in on the Speaker app. You can also ask questions. Today's guest is Howard Cross, a former New York Giants tight end, Super Bowl champion. He went to college in Alabama. He was born in Alabama. What a great career, man, with the New York Giants and Alabama too. And he was picked in the 1989 draft, round 6 pick, 156 by the New York Giants. And obviously in 1991, he won the Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills with Bill Parcells, Lawrence Taylor, Lana Marshall. You name the whole team, man. A great team and great vibe over there. And now he's the current broadcaster for his former team, the New York Giants, with Carl Banks, Bob Papa, the voice of the New York Giants. So, Howard, I just want to say thank you for joining the show. Happy Saturday to you and your family, and I hope you're enjoying the Thanksgiving weekend and a big college football games today, especially for your Alabama too.
Oh my God, such a big game. I was literally watching the game. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go to this podcast. I didn't realize I had booked something during the Alabama Auburn game.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you again for joining the show. And how are you? How are you and your family doing today? And also, how's your Thanksgiving break going?
Everybody's doing good. Um, my kids are all over the planet. My son's at Notre Dame.
Oh
He's
wow.
out in Stanford getting ready for his game. My daughter's in Miami. She's working full time. So yeah, we're busy, but enjoying the day.
Yeah. So speaking of, tell our fans. Speak. Let's start off with your son. And what position does he play at Notre Dame? And what are you most looking forward to seeing him do tonight against Stanford?
So he'll have a good game. He's pretty much like a nose tackle slash three technique.
Oh wow.
He's explosive. He's fast. He makes a lot of plays. So I'm just excited for him to continue to have fun in his college career. As far as everything else goes, it's a little bit after the holiday. My daughter's still in Miami. I'm kind of like in the middle of trying to get ready for the game tomorrow.
Mhm.
It is what it is.
Yeah, so for you, let's start off with your college. And obviously, you were born in Huntsville, Alabama. And how special was it for you to stay close to home? And when you went to college to play football at Alabama, and what was that like for you to have your family and friends come watch your games at Alabama?
It was a little different back in the day. Like right now, we're all attached via social media, via Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Back in the day, it was like if you were living your life, you live your life independent. Your immediate family knew what you were doing, but you had to call someone and let someone know where you were, in a big moment. So I lived my life through college with my immediate family being around, but not everybody that knew me was
Mhm.
was able to be around because there was no real moment for them to do it.
Wow. So, what was the experience like? Tell our fans what was the experience like playing in Alabama, a big school, obviously, and they're known for winning every year, high expectations for that team. So, what was that like for you to be part of Alabama history?
I tell people all the time, like it's like watching Greek and Roman mythology, because everything's going on, and you have these gods of something. Because football is like a religion in the South. If you're playing on a team, you're a god of something while you're playing. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so take us to your development as a player. Obviously, you're tight end, and did you play any other positions playing football, or was tight end your main focus?
I kind of played everything. I was like, it's a different world than it is today. Today, we groom people to be certain players, to do certain sports. I played every sport. I played every position. Whatever was asking me, I wanted to do, and was able to do because that's what the world was like back then.
Yeah. So, fans, please tune in on the Speaker app. We are live with Super Bowl champion Howard Cross from the New York Giants. So Howard, talk about some of your best moments playing at Alabama and wearing that red uniform, the red white uniform, and playing in front of those fans in Tuscaloosa.
The Crimson and White.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of great games. I think two of the best games was we played LSU in LSU where they had two or three All-Americans, and we just like drummed them to death running the ball. My sophomore year, we played Tennessee. They had a great All-American linebacker they already talked about. We
Mhm.
ran the ball against them. And I think that something I didn't participate much in, but I still enjoyed. My college roommate, Derek Thomas,
Mhm.
beat Penn State basically single-handedly.
Wow. Yeah. So was speaking of big competition for you, what was like competing against other top level colleges? Would you say that helped you get ready for the NFL game, playing top level colleges teams?
I would say yes. I think I played against two of the best players in college with Derek Thomas, Kenese Bennett, and then coming to the NFL, I immediately got Carl Banks and Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
I think I kind of had it covered, so it was a big jump, so to speak.
Yeah, well, tell our fans, what was it like playing with Derek Brooks, and obviously a great player too in his career. So, what was that like playing with Derek Brooks?
Well, Derek Thomas
I mean,
was
sorry, Derek Thomas, not Derek Brooks.
Derek Thomas was probably the closest thing to Lawrence Taylor.
Oh wow.
Without being Lawrence Taylor, he was like he set the record in sacks in college.
Mhm.
He was extraordinarily fast, very strong, understood the game.
Yeah,
You gotta respect somebody like that.
yeah, Derek Thomas. Sorry, my mistake, not Derek Brooks. Derek Thomas. But tell our fans now after playing after Alabama, talk about the draft experience for you. You got drafted in 1989 by the New York Giants, round six, pick 156. What was that like being with your family, waiting for your name to be called, and once your name got called, what was that like for you about the New York Giants?
The draft thing is new. It's not an old thing. Back in my day, like you were at home hanging out or wherever you were in the world, and then someone drafted you. There was no big draft shows. There were no big draft moments. It was like on this day you could possibly get drafted, have your phone on, or be by your phone. So think about today, you're on cell phones, Instagram, all these different things. In my day, there were no like if you had a cell phone, it was a big box
Yeah.
you carried around on some big block. Like most players didn't have that. So I was kind of like basically in a room, and Coach Parcells called me.
Oh wow. So take us to the phone call with Bill Parcells. What was it? What was the phone call like with Bill Parcells?
It was very simple. Hey, my name is Bill Parcells. I'm the head coach of the Giants. Nice to meet you, Coach. How you doing? I'm doing good. I need to see you in town in 2 days because I just drafted you.
Hmm.
Whole call.
Wow. So we have a fan question here that's popped in. One of my good friends who's a Giant fan asked a question for you. They want to know they want to know who was the funniest teammate that you played with? One of our fans.
Funnies?
Yeah, funniest teammate.
Oh my God. It was a bunch of guys. Like there were Leonard Marshall,
Hmm.
Otis Anderson, Stephen Baker. Like we still make the same jokes today that we made back then. We just had a lot of fun together. It was a good time.
Yeah, so tell our fans coming into playing in New York Giants, what was that like playing in New York, playing with the historic franchise and playing in front of the fans in New York?
Well, when I came to New York, I think the stadium's hosted like close to 70, and Alabama hosted close to 80. So it was like a not like the fans had nothing to do with it, but the magnitude of people shrank when I got to the NFL. There were so even now, Michigan,
Yeah.
uh, I think Tennessee, Alabama, stadiums hold over 100,000
Hmm.
people. So you come to the NFL, and there's no live band playing anything. You come to the NFL, it's great. I get the money and everything, but the college atmosphere is overwhelming because there are 100,000 people plus in a lot of stadiums.
Yeah, so we are live with Super Bowl champion from the New York Giants, Howard Cross, now the current broadcaster for the New York Giants. Another question for you from our fans. What did you like about the old school uniforms that you guys wore in New York?
I have everybody says that I have no idea about uniforms. I played against some of the greatest players in history, and they would rip whatever uniform you're wearing off. So I really focused on the game, not the uniform.
Hmm. So, so obviously you won the Super Bowl in '91, and you talk about that team, the '91 team, obviously with Lawrence Taylor, Leonard Marshall, Stephen Baker, Otis Anderson. The list can go on. Talented roster. What message did Bill Parcells give you guys before the season? Obviously, it's a long season with ups and downs, but talk about the team chemistry that got you to the Super Bowl.
Well, we had a lot of guys, Pro Bowlers, most of them on defense, and defense wins championships.
Yeah,
That was a very impressive defensive team. You had Leonard, you had Carl Banks, Pepper Johnson, all three Pro Bowlers. Lawrence Taylor, Pro Bowler. You had Eric Howard, Pro Bowler. You had Mark Jackson, not Mark Jackson, Mark Collins, Perry Williams. You had so many Pro Bowlers across the board of your defense that's what they built teams on. You know, interior line of defense. We had an incredible defense at that moment. So it was a lot of fun to watch. You'd be playing the games, watching Barry Sanders juke and jive across the field. You see a guy run from one sideline to the other to get in on a tackle. It was a big moment.
Yes, and you played against the Buffalo Bills that year too in the Super Bowl. And talk about that game. It was a close game, 20-19. You got won by 1 point. And talk about that going into that game against Buffalo, another great team. And what was the mindset in before the game started?
We wanted to muddy up the game. We wanted to run the ball, control the clock, regardless of what they were doing, and that's what basically what happened. Like they turned the team into almost a one-dimensional team. The passes weren't going deep, so you needed the running back to beat you, and they forced him to be the focus of Buffalo's team, and that's not what they wanted.
And yeah, to talk about that offense you had too with Ronnie Hampton, you had Mark Ingram, yourself, Bart Oates on the offensive line. Offensive line you had there was crazy good too, and the quarterback was Jeff. I can't pronounce. How do you say his last
Hostler.
name? Hostetler. Yeah, you had a good quarterback in Jeff. And talk about that the offensive side of the ball that you had in the group.
Well, we were the 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That was a different era.
Yeah.
We weren't trying to like throw the ball in the field, get a lot of yards. We were like consistent, grind it out. If we had it, you don't have it. We can score and you can't. That was the big moment.
We have another fan question here. Just popped in. One of our fans wants to know on my app here on the phone. They want to know how special was it playing underneath Bill Parcells and winning the Super Bowl with him.
That's funny. I never liked Bill.
Oh wow.
Bill was a taskmaster. He was a tough guy. He was a grinder. So, in my opinion, of what I was doing, they were asking me to play a game instead of go to work. So I was like, happy go lucky. Bill didn't like that. Bill wanted you to be overly focused all the time, regardless of what your situation was. If you're a part of the team goal, spirit, energy was your energy.
Yeah. So tell our fans. Last month we did an event with Lawrence Taylor. I told you in Woodbridge, and Lawrence Taylor, man, he's in great shape. I feel like he can still rep people. But talk about what was it like. How special? How talk about what was it like being his teammate and seeing him go about his business on the field and off the field, and how special was it for you guys to have a player like that can do anything on the field?
I think people don't realize that Lawrence Taylor get a lot of the era that he grew up in and what he became media wise. But the biggest thing about Lawrence, I'll always remember, is that he hosted Thanksgiving, Christmas dinner for all the guys who had nowhere to go. He took care of everybody. He was able to, like, let's say you were to a spot that you probably shouldn't have been in, he would probably be there already. He'd be like, "You need to go home." So he was above and beyond what people would think he is, because they remember the bad, but there was a tremendous amount of good with Lawrence and his family.
Yeah, so for you, you in my opinion, you're an underrated tight end in the league, and if no one knows about you, you brought consistency on the field for the New York Giants throughout your career, and you made some great plays. And talk about what did you whoever didn't know about you. I mean, obviously everybody, all the Giant fans knows about you, but whoever doesn't know about you outside of the Giants, talk about what did you bring to the game as a tight end, and obviously the tight end position has changed a lot since you played. But talk about what you brought at the tight end position.
Well, the game changed a lot, but when I played, it was like 3 yards of cloud enough. You could, if the tight end was a formidable blocker and an aggressive guy, it could help shape the offense of a team.
Yeah.
I I was the formidable aggressive guy. I enjoyed catching passes, but if you asked me to help set the edge against Bruce Smith or
Mhm.
Reggie White, I could do it, and that made the game a lot different.
Wow. Another fan question that's right here on my phone. They want to know what was your some outside of the Super Bowl. What was your some of your other best moments with the Giants?
Say it again.
So one of our fans wants to know outside of winning the Super Bowl, what would you say are some of your other best moments as a New York Giant?
That's a good one.
Mhm.
Um, I had a couple games where I had 2 touchdowns per game. I
Mhm.
think Washington, Dallas, somebody else. But the best moment in the game, which I thought was where the game came full circle, in my rookie year, played the Cowboys, and I played against Ed Too Tall Jones.
Yeah.
Got to tell him on the field, you know, you're my dad's favorite player. So that right there was probably one of the best, like non-heavy moments. That's the best moment in football.
Yeah, so speaking of the NFC East, that the rivalry between Giants, Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, and Washington Giants, you name it, you had a rivalry with each team basically. So talk about playing in the NFC East, and it's rare for players to stay with one team, and you got to stay with one team throughout your career. So what was it like staying in the NFC East and playing the Giants? I mean, the Cowboys, Eagles, and Washington.
Yeah. Well, the world was different back then. We were always trying to stay with our team.
Yeah.
And now you go to the highest bidder. And people go like, if you could do what you did then now, what would you do? I'm like, I wouldn't have been a giant. I'd have gone to the highest bidder. I would have took the money. But that's what guys do now. So you try to learn your craft. You try to be good at what you're doing. But at the end of the day, it's about how much money you're going to make. And that kind of drives the entire league.
Yeah. So for you, what was the first thing you guys did after winning the Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills, and then going off the field and getting the trophies? And what was the first thing you guys did after leaving the stadium?
I think everybody partied. We were in Tampa. Everybody partied. I went to a party, a private party someone invited me to, and a lot of players went to a giant party that they had set up. So, you know, all you want to do is like be with your family and friends, have a good time, and we all had a great time.
Wow. Another fan question here just popped up. One of our fans wants to know if you were not playing football, what would you be doing now?
Now, or
I mean, if you were not playing,
football is so relatable to almost everything I do.
yeah.
If I had to like go back to like before I left college and went to the NFL, I'd either been working with some, you know, hedge fund or bank or something, study finance. That's what I would have been doing. I wouldn't have been playing ball. I would have been like making money and helping other people make money. That's kind of what I was looking to do when I was trying to come out of college.
Oh. So talk about Stephen Baker. He's another one of my good friends, touchdown maker. He was on the show and also and we connected. I mean, saw him in person at David Tyree's place, and so talk about the touchdown maker Stephen Baker, and he was another underrated offensive player you guys had.
He was probably at the time he was in the league. He's probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest guy in the league. He did a great job. He caught the ball. He went across the middle. Like Baker's like one of those unique players that you hope every team has.
Mm-hmm. Another fan question here. One of our fans wants to know, where do you keep your Super Bowl ring?
It's probably in a junk drawer somewhere in my house. I have no idea. I'm being serious. I'm like,
Yeah.
you really never wear it. So like you jump in the drawer and you move on.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just curious. Tell our fans. Obviously, you stayed with the Giants throughout your career, and Was there any opportunities where other teams could have got you, or you wanted to stay with
Oh,
the Giants? Mhm.
I was like on the beginning tip of free agency. So like there were tons of teams that asked me to move on and because I believe the way I believe back then, it's like, uh, I make more money than my dad will ever make. When the
Mhm.
reality of it is, it's like take the most you can get, have fun, and get out of the league.
Wow. All right. One of our oh no, this is a all right. So one of my good friends here on this acts. He's a big Giant fan. So
Okay.
he wants to know what are your thoughts since you cover the team now. They want to know what's your thoughts on this year's team. Obviously, is a struggle, but they want to know what can they do to improve the team going forward here.
Well, first things first. Don't look past today or tomorrow or the next game. Play the best you can play. But if they're going to do something, they can ensure or increase the interior line's ability. Once they do that, I think between that and the tackles playing the way they play, they should be okay offensively. Defensively, I think defensively, outside of the fact they lost Dexter
Mhm.
Lawrence, they got to like figure out a way to what I tell the kids, gang tackle. They need to have 8 guys on the tackle in every frame. If they got 1 or 2 guys on the frame, whether they got the guy down or not, I consider that a loss.
Yeah, so going off of my friend's question here, talk about since you're tight end, talk about Darren Waller, and did you like that trade at the beginning of the season, and what do you think about it now since he's been he's injury prone, but what did you like about the Giants bringing him in
I
first?
think Darren Waller is a phenomenal talent, athlete. He can do a lot of different stuff. The greatest ability in sports is your availability. He's got to find a way to get back and get healthy.
Mhm. Talk about now your son. I want to go back to your son and obviously playing in Notre Dame, big game today against Stanford. But talk about just how special is it to have your son play the same sport as you did and have football in the family and seeing him succeed at a high level too as a football player.
I just thought the whole process of it was funny. I just asked him constantly, "What do you want to do?" And this is where he's winding up. So I'm happy for him. But like, you don't. Well, I didn't. I won't say you won't. You don't pressure your kids to be something because
Yeah.
you're something. You just like watch them flourish by giving them direction.
Uh,
Sorry,
that must be Carl Banks. Oh, we never know. I don't know.
no, that's my daughter.
Oh, yeah. So talk about now since now transitioning from your playing career to be a broadcaster now, and what's it like now to be a broadcaster and covering your team that you play with now?
It's interesting because for a long time, I was on Yes Network and
Yep.
ESPN, and it wasn't I was talking against the Giants. I was just saying what was being said. When you work for a team, you got to tell the truth also, but you got to make it palatable for the fans.
Yeah.
There's a couple calling shows I did for the team. The fans are nuts. I just like, okay, that's cool. They fired everybody. They hired everybody. They've gotten rid of the ownership. They brought the ownership back. I'm like, so no one, today's day and age, no one's ever happy. And you
So
gotta learn how to deal with that, especially if you're doing call-in shows and stuff. You gotta deal with people being unhappy. And the funny thing about it, and I'm not offensive to fans or
yeah.
whatever,
Mhm.
and if I am, I don't really care. The funniest thing about professional sports is that the people who are not making the commitment or have lack of the ability that a person has makes a lot of determination of what you do and how you do.
Hmm.
Like I can't dunk a basketball. I'm 56 years old, but I can yell at a guy who can't dunk a basketball who's 7'1".
Mhm.
I can play golf and I'm a decent golfer, but I'm not going to break par. But I can complain about a guy who misses a putt to shoot. He shot 65 instead of 64. I'm like, oh my God, how bad is that? So that the world we live in, we judge everything without the ability to do anything that someone else does.
Does it feel weird though? Sometimes after playing your career and then being on the same field but on a different side of it, do do you have a different mindset when you're covering the game that you played?
I think I have a better mindset now because when I ask questions and I say something, I have a better view of what I'm looking at. If a regular reporter or whoever is asking me questions,
Mhm.
I don't necessarily trust them because I don't think they know what they're asking me.
Yeah. So another fan question here. One of our fans wants to know what's it like working with your former teammate Carl Banks and the voice of the Giants, Bob Papa.
Oh, great group, great crew. We have a lot of fun. Um, there's a lot of questions they ask of me, a lot of questions I ask of them, and then when the radio dial says go, we respond at a high level. So I really like them. They're two of my good friends, I would say.
Oh, I forgot about Jonathan Casillas also, who does the pre and post game also. So what? Obviously, he's a former Giant too. And what do you like? What do you like about him as a broadcaster, Jonathan Casillas?
I think Jonathan's learning broadcasting like just like he learned playing linebacker
Mhm.
for the team. He's really getting good at it.
Yeah. So tell our fans, tomorrow they're playing New England in MetLife Stadium, and talk about what are the keys for the Giants against New England. And obviously, Tommy DeVito looked great on his last game with 3 touchdown passes to watch against Washington. So, what are the keys against New England with Bill Belichick?
Well, first off, if DeVito's playing, we're gonna have a hard time because
Yeah.
I don't think Belichick loses against rookie quarterbacks.
Hmm.
Number two, you got to be a physical team that's going to run the ball and take advantage of opportunities. And number three, on the offensive side, every time something happens, you got to make a positive play out of it. You can't just like have throwaway plays because if you have throwaway plays, anybody can beat you.
Hmm. Do you feel like you can still play?
Hell no.
I was like,
I couldn't run out of my house if it's on fire. I never have any illusions that I can still play. And I don't do my the get off my yard uh you know description of anything that's going on. I
Mhm.
just call it how I see it.
So tell our fans, as a broadcaster, you've done so many interviews also, and what would you say the best thing about now you got interviewed a lot in your career, but now what's it like for you to interview players that's up and coming and looked up to you also, and getting to learn their story. So what's that been like for you just to interview players that and then interview players that's looking up to you or getting to where you were at?
Well, respectfully, I know there no one that most guys when they see me, they don't know who I am.
Mhm.
And I respect that. But what I do is I try to get them to give honest estimations of where they are today, what happened today, and like what would you like to happen in the next 2 to 3 years? Because every player, first contract, second contract, whatever, their next contract is coming up in 2 or 3 years,
Mhm.
and it's a big moment. So, what do you want to happen while you're here? You have to think about it.
Another fan question here. One of our fans wants to know, do you think the Giants will keep Saquon Barkley, or is this the end of Saquon Barkley in New York?
No, I keep. I just think that depending on how much money they have, that's going to make the determination for everything. And I love Saquon, but Daniel and Saquon are a package. Whether people like him or not, they just are. So, Daniel is extraordinarily mobile. He
Mhm.
runs the ball. It creates a problem for the defense. And then Saquon is the other problem for the defense. So you have two people in two different spots that your team's trying to figure out and control. And it's worked a lot. It may not work all the time, but it works a lot.
Yeah, so just to pick off of that question, and a lot of debate is going on and about Daniel Jones potentially the future is up in the air, but some people are saying keep Daniel Jones and try and get the top draft or number 2, number 3 draft pick or number 1. Try and get Marvin Harrison Jr. From Ohio State. And what would you do if would you keep Daniel Jones for another run and then go and help him out with more weapons or?
I would make sure the offensive line is super intact and everybody can get to be an asset to the skilled people, whether it's the people with basically what you do is you take all the people that can help you,
Mhm.
the skill people and everything that's going on when you're drafting them, you know what you're going to get. You need D linemen, offensive linemen. You need the people who are not on TV unless there's a penalty.
Yeah.
You need all those people to be really, really good. Daniel's a great player. Saquon's a great player. But if you don't have like 5 guys that are blocking for them, then those 2 guys don't exist.
Right.
And the problem is that most of the league don't have 5 guys that are protecting anybody. So it's a constant arms race to get those guys on your team.
Someone wants to know your best memorable interview you've done so far as a broadcaster.
Oh my God. I have no idea. Best memorable interview?
Yeah.
Memorable. I don't really have a like I would when I do this with kids. I'm like, I've had some great opportunities when I met some really cool people, whether it's been a President Obama, who is like some favorites.
Hmm.
Probably the most famous person I was ever around was Stan Lee, the guy who's the
Yeah.
creator of the Marvel universe. But you just meet and whatever. Like I don't have a specific interview that I think that revealed that much at the moment. I just think that you know, as we go, we go. That's what I look at.
Yeah. So now let's talk about your former college team, Alabama. And how, by the way, give us a score update on the show. How they look.
I got the TV off, so I wouldn't look at it while
Oh,
I'm talking to you. I'm
oh.
trying to do the right thing.
Hey, you can have the I don't mind having the TV on.
I would love look if I'm watching the game. I'm not gonna be listening to you. I'm doing the best that I can with what I got.
But yeah, but talk about the team so far this year, Alabama, and when Nick Saban, heck of a coach, everybody knows him. And but talk about this team overall. What have you seen that excites you this year?
I think that Coach Saban did a good job. He early in the year because they had like such a soft schedule. He bounced the quarterbacks around a little bit, and the guy that he started with is the guy he's got now.
Yeah,
Out of all the coaching seasons, Coach Saban like re-energizing himself and revisiting where he used to be, where he yells at the guy if he does something wrong. Hey, why are you doing this? Instead of like, oh, it's okay. Let's go to the sideline. Let's like look at what's going on. You got to be hard on guys and make them demand more of themselves than they demand of themselves, which is really a weird thing to say
mhm.
because you're asking if someone asks a lot of me more than I ask of me, then I got to move my mark up here because I think I'm the greatest. I need you to do more. When it goes up, it's a stress test, but you got to do it.
We'll take two more fan questions here. The first one here, someone wants to know interesting some interesting things about you that you never told anyone before.
Um, Interesting thing I never told anybody before. Here's a really interesting thing that you might know, you may not know. If you ever watch an NFL game today, and the
Mhm.
guys come to the middle of the field and they kneel and pray together, I started that.
Oh wow. Hmm.
And I don't want to say I started it personally, but I want to make sure that I'm not the person that you point the finger at and says,
No.
does
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
But in college, we started at Alabama. And
Okay.
when I got to the NFL, the chaplain of the teams like explained how that happened. And I explained it to him because would you be willing to participate in it? I'm like,
Mhm.
why not? He goes like, just like that. Do you know? I'm like, whatever they're saying, no one cares. For guys to go to battle and fight and do everything they have to do to win a game, then after the game, for them for 1 second to kneel and say, God, thank you that we're not dying and we're not hurt and our families are good and we appreciate the competition or whatever the prayer might be, is a good moment. It shows that we're like people look at athletes and stuff and they elevate them to this area of supremacy, but when they all kneel and pray, they're just human.
Mhm.
And I appreciated it, and like I can remember when the NFL tried to block it and
Mm.
said like you can't do it, and we're gonna fine you. And I forget which game it was, Like, if you do it again, we're gonna fine you.
Wow.
And I was like, cool. And we sit there, and the chaplain came in and talked to us and say, well, I don't want to ask you guys to do this. Don't, I don't want you to risk any money. And no one said anything. And we kind of listened to him, got the explanation. After the game was over, I think we had full participation of almost every player on both teams came together and knelt. It's like, it's not something you can, like, if anything, they should be promoting that we're human, not trying to take away from it. And since that moment, it's never been talked about again.
Wow. Hmm. And then we'll take one final fan question. Someone wants to know your your routine as a player, your game day routine as a player.
Oh, game day routine's easy. Show up to the facility. Before you get to the facility, you're probably together. Have a bacon and egg breakfast. That's what I used to do, and some hash browns. Go in, put on some really good inspirational music.
Hmm.
Not boom, boom, boom. Let's fight. Let's do like maybe gospel, maybe whatever. Listen to some good music. Calm myself before I got so hyped that I couldn't play. I wanted to be extraordinarily calm as I walked out. Some people like locker rooms, sidelines, practice facilities, they're banging music and it's great music. It's
Mhm.
like you're going to a club.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's not good for people, but when I want to hear something, I want it as low. I want it to be as focused. I want it to be as uplifting as possible. So when I step out, I'm stepping out on the best note, not on boom, 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 whatever it is. That's just me. And I'm like I said, I'm probably so old now. I'm a get off your yard guy. You're like, get off my yard. What are you doing? But the reality of it is like I talked to my son about several things. Like, number one, I didn't want him to go to Alabama or to Michigan or to Ohio State or to one of the big football schools. And he said, why? I said, because I want you to be with or be in a moment where you understand that you want to do this. I'm like, he goes, if I go there, I'm like, they really want to do this,
Mhm.
but you want to do this. I think you're better than all of them, but you have to have the proper motivation in the moment. So he winds up going to Notre Dame. He's at Notre Dame, and who's playing, who's not playing, everything. So just remember, as you go through this process, they don't want it as much as you want it. And you have to constantly remind them of that every time you show up.
Yes, and your son is playing with the great program in Notre Dame, and Marcus Freeman, a good coach, and he's in your son is in good hands at Notre
Yeah,
Dame. And
absolutely.
yeah, before we let you go, talk about your routine as a broadcaster and how early do you get to the stadium? So, for example, for tomorrow's game, what time does Howard Cross get to the stadium and get ready and get you guys get ready for the pregame show?
Well, the problem is pregame show. There's a real pregame show. I
Mhm.
might have a segment on,
Okay.
and they'll predetermine what my segment is. Over under, keys to the game, whatever it is. That's it.
Hmm.
Game itself, like, I'm not a sideline reporter where I talk about, nice cliche stories. I'm a sideline analyst. So I have to be able to watch the game and help the guys upstairs see, like, oh, they're talking. And they even have replay and
Hmm.
they're looking at something different. I'm like, no, look at this on this play. And then we talk about it and we go on. But the important thing is for me, is to know what what the offense and defense on the other team's doing, what our offense and defense is trying to do, and not overshare what I'm looking at. But like Tony Romo's like, he's a genius.
Yeah.
He's kind of oversharing. If you've been to a practice and you watch the practice and you know what the team wants to do in comparison to what they're going to play against, and you see it happening, that's an overshare. Not that's a bad thing because everyone loves it. I don't want to overshare. I just want to talk about my perspective without being a total fan when I'm watching it.
Mhm. And the last thing here before we let you go, where can our fans find you on social media?
Oh my God, social media. I guess I'm Howard Cross 87 on. I think I'm only on Instagram and
To- uh,
X.
yeah,
It used to be Twitter, now it's X.
yeah,
The other stuff I follow because my kids follow, and I don't. I'm not a big poster or whatever. I just kind of like I comment on some things. I'll send some things to some of my friends, but that's kind of it. Like I'm at the end of the day, if I could be on any kind of site, it'd be on somebody's golf site and they'd be giving me free stuff. I would love some free clubs, free balls. Like I play golf whenever I can. I played today. It was 38 degrees today. I played golf today.
wow. That's, hey, I gotta ask Leonard to have our Giants reunion party at his house or something. Come to in our neighborhood in Jackson, and we got to get you, Baker, Taylor, the Carl Banks,
Now,
Harry Carson, and Ronnie Hampton and Otis Anderson. Let's get everybody at Leonard's house.
Leonard has my number. Tell him to call me. He knows. He knows I'll show up for him.
Yeah, but there you have it. Howard Cross, former New York Giants tight end. He played for Alabama, also Super Bowl champion. Go check him out tomorrow. He'll be on the sidelines covering the Giants Patriots at MetLife Stadium. So go check that out with Carl Banks, Bob Papa, Jonathan Casillas. Howard, I just want to say thank you for joining us today. It was truly an honor, and we'll stay connected and keep up the great work as a broadcaster. And looking forward to more content from you. And well, like I said, we'll stay connected and have you back on the show. And hopefully we can meet in person and then wherever where Leonard is or wherever. But you keep up the great work.
I appreciate it. You're doing a good job. And I'm glad you're kicking it off, even in the early part of your career. Have a long, healthy, prosperous career. God bless.
Thank you so much.